In ancient Israel, under the rule of King Ahab and influenced by Queen Jezebel, the land suffers. The fields are barren and dry, the people troubled and concerned. Their faith is divided, with many turning towards the worship of Baal. The air is filled with a sense of unease and desperation, reflecting the spiritual and physical drought that plagues the land. In a modest, secluded room, Elijah sits deep in thought. The air is heavy with the burden of Israel's waywardness. Suddenly, a divine light fills the room, reflecting Elijah's realization of his calling. His eyes show determination, mixed with a touch of apprehension about the path that lies ahead. Elijah, with a resolute expression, makes his way through the bustling streets of the capital. The people part way for him, some with curiosity, others with disdain. The grandeur of the royal palace looms ahead, its opulence a stark contrast to the prophet's humble appearance. Inside the royal court, King Ahab sits on his throne, surrounded by advisors. The tension is palpable as Elijah steps forward, his gaze fixed on the king. The contrast between Elijah's plain garb and the opulence of the court highlights the prophet's moral conviction. Against the backdrop of royal excess, in the privacy of their royal chamber, King Ahab recounts the day's events to Queen Jezebel. The queen listens intently, her expression a mix of scorn and contemplation. Their conversation reveals a deep-seated disdain for Elijah and his God, as well as a cunning plan to uphold their power. A diverse crowd of Israelites gathers at Mount Carmel, their faces a mixture of curiosity, skepticism, and hope. The towering figure of Mount Carmel stands in the background, setting the stage for the impending confrontation. Elijah stands atop a raised platform, his presence commanding the attention of the crowd. He speaks with a powerful voice, challenging the people's indecision between the Lord and Baal. His words stir the hearts of the listeners, invoking a sense of conviction and introspection. In preparation for the divine test, 2 altars are constructed. One is adorned for Baal, the other for the Lord. Each altar holds a bull for sacrifice, symbolizing the impending call for a supernatural response. The scene is bustling with activity as the altars are readied. The prophets of Baal, adorned in elaborate robes, start their rituals around their altar. They chant and dance with fervent intensity, calling upon Baal to accept their sacrifice. The crowd watches with a mix of awe and skepticism. As noon approaches, the prophets of Baal grow increasingly frantic. Their chants become louder, their dances more frenzied. Yet there is no response from Baal. The crowd's initial awe turns to murmurs of doubt and disbelief. Elijah observes the futile efforts of the prophets of Baal and begins to taunt them. He suggests that maybe Baal is deep in thought, busy, or traveling. The crowd's mood shifts as they hear Elijah's mocking words, some smirking at the irony. The prophets of Baal, now in a state of desperation, take extreme measures. They shout louder and begin to cut themselves, hoping to gain Baal's attention through their blood and cries. The crowd watches in a mix of shock and disbelief at the escalating scene. As the prophets of Baal's efforts continue in vain, Elijah begins to prepare his altar. He meticulously arranges 12 stones, representing the 12 tribes of Israel, and carefully places the wood and the bowl. The crowd watches, the air filled with anticipation. In a surprising move, Elijah instructs the people to drench the altar and sacrifice with water 3 times, making the task of igniting the sacrifice seemingly impossible. The water fills the trench around the altar. As the crowd watches in stunned silence, pondering the significance of this act. With the altar prepared, Elijah steps forward. He raises his hands and prays to the Lord, his voice calm yet filled with conviction. The crowd falls silent, captivated by the solemnity of the moment, as Elijah calls upon God to reveal his power and turn the hearts of the people back to him. As Elijah concludes his prayer, a miraculous event unfolds. Fire descends from the heavens, striking the altar. The flames consume the sacrifice, the wood, even the stones and the water in the trench. The crowd gasps in awe, witnessing this undeniable display of divine power. Following the miraculous fire, the people of Israel are struck with astonishment and realization. They fall to their knees, acknowledging the power of the Lord. Their faces reflect a mix of awe, reverence, and the dawning of a newfound faith. In the wake of the divine revelation, Elijah commands the seizure of the prophets of Baal. They are captured, their faces marked with fear and defeat. The crowd, now swayed by the power of the Lord, assists in apprehending the false prophets. The captured prophets of Baal are led in a solemn procession to Kishon Brook. The faces of the crowd reflect a mix of somber realization and moral resolve. The scene is poignant, marking a significant shift in the spiritual landscape of Israel. At Kishon Brook, Elijah enforces the judgment upon the prophets of Baal. The scene is solemn and impactful, marking the end of Baal's influence in Israel. Elijah stands firm, embodying a sense of divine justice as the captured prophets face their fate. With the judgment complete, Elijah climbs back to the top of Mount Carmel. There, he bows down to the ground and prays earnestly for rain to end the long drought. His posture is one of deep humility and faith, contrasting with the earlier scenes of confrontation. Elijah sends his servant to the edge of Mount Carmel to look toward the sea for signs of rain. The servant gazes into the distance, his expression a blend of hope and skepticism. The vast sea and horizon stretch out before him, a symbol of the awaited change. After several trips, the servant finally notices a small cloud rising from the sea, no larger than a man's hand. He points excitedly towards the horizon, signaling the first sign of rain. Elijah and those around him turn their gaze towards the promising sight. With the appearance of the small cloud, the sky begins to change rapidly. Dark, heavy clouds start to gather, covering the once clear sky. A cool breeze picks up, carrying the fresh scent of rain. The people look up, their faces reflecting a mix of relief and awe at the impending downpour. As the clouds thicken, the first drops of rain begin to fall. They tap gently at first, then grow more persistent. The people of Israel, faces uplifted, receive the rain with joy and relief. The parched earth eagerly soaks in the life-giving water, signaling the end of the long drought. As the rain intensifies, Elijah sends a message to King Ahab. warning him to return to Israel before the rain makes the journey impossible. In response to Elijah's warning, King Ahab prepares to leave for Israel. He hurriedly boards his chariot. Driven by the urgency of the situation, his expression is a mix of concern and haste, aware of the impending downpour that could hinder his journey. Empowered by the Lord, Elijah begins his miraculous run to Israel ahead of Ahab's chariot. His speed is supernatural, his determination unwavering. Elijah reaches Israel, his arrival preceding the chariot of King Ahab. The city is drenched in rain, streets and rooftops glistening with fresh water. Elijah's entrance into the city is marked by a sense of accomplishment and divine favor as the people take notice of this remarkable prophet. In Israel, Elijah reflects on the day's events. The city bustles with life, rejuvenated by the rain. People are seen repairing their homes and tending to their fields. Grateful for the end of the drought, Elijah looks out over the city, a sense of peace and fulfillment evident in his demeanor. As the sun sets over Israel, Elijah stands atop Mount Carmel, gazing at the horizon. The land below is verdant, a stark contrast to the barrenness that once plagued it. The people of Israel, once divided in their beliefs, now unite in their acknowledgement of the Lord's power. Elijah's journey has not only changed the course of the nation, but has also reaffirmed his own faith. The story concludes with a sense of hope and renewal, as the people look forward to a future guided by faith and devotion. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.